Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to our workshop on Rayyan, or Rayyan, however you want to say it. We do have a research guide on this subject. If you go into our research guides, I can kind of take us there. On the main website, if you go over here to research guides, and then the easy way to do it is to just type in Rayyan, and it's right there, the first one that comes up. And here's where you can find the PowerPoint that we're going to use, as well as any other information about Rayyan that you might need should you forget it after this workshop and everything like that. So let's go ahead and get started. Present. Does that every time. Okay. So the first thing that we kind of want to go over when looking at Rayyan is the parts of an article. Because Rayyan is a great tool to be able to use for your systematic reviews. But looking at an article, you've got these different places. So you've got the introduction, the literature review, methods, results, discussion, conclusion, and references. And Rayyan is really good with helping you with the literature review as well as the methods. So with a systematic review, you want everything to be replicable. So Rayyan kind of helps you not only with your citations and keeping those together, but it also helps you know like where you found different articles. It has an AI bot that helps you to rate different articles and stuff like that. So it's a great resource to use. So for the literature review, of course, it critiques and summarizes a body of literature and draws conclusions about the topic. It identifies the gaps and inconsistencies in the literature and requires a sufficiently focused research question. So these are all things that you need to not have, well, you need to have a focused research question going into systematic reviews. But the Rayyan is going to help with the literature review because it's going to help you with collecting all of the resources that you need. And if you're working with somebody else, you can talk back and forth with the tags, the reasons you want to include and exclude, and stuff like that. And you'll be talking about that in your literature review. So a systematic literature review is a little bit different. It's more rigorous and well-defined and described in detail. As I said, one thing about systematic reviews is you want them to be replicable. So anybody who's reading your paper can go and do the same search that you did and can do get the same results, which is really great. It details the time frame within which the literature was selected. So you won't be having it until present. You'll need to stop it at some point. So if you are researching, say, from 2013 to 2022, that's going to be your time frame. And again, people are going to be able to narrow by 2013 to 2022 and get the same results that you did. The reason you don't want until present is because things will still be coming out about this subject, and that won't be counted for in your review. So you have to have some kind of stop on your time frame. It also details the methods used to evaluate and synthesize findings of the primary research studies in question. So with the systematic review, again, and I'll repeat this several times, it's to be replicable. So you're going to talk about what methods you use to narrow down. So what filters did you use? What keywords did you use? Where did you search? And then you're going to talk about how you evaluated those resources. So what did you say that you wanted to include and why did you include these articles? What did you say that you wanted to exclude and why did you exclude these articles? And one good thing to use is the Prisma checklist. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Let me go ahead and I will copy this and put it into the chat, and then we will put it in here. And this is the, whoops. Oh, yeah, the Prisma checklist. So if you scroll down, there is a Prisma flowchart that kind of tells you how your research should go. So you've got your identification of where you want to search, what your question is, and then you're going to talk about the duplicate records that were removed, records marked as ineligible, and then of course you've got the ones that you chose to include, so the records that are screened, and then again you talk about what you've excluded from those screenings. And so this can be really helpful. There's also a Prisma checklist. So if you go down here, it has this flow diagram here, and it takes you to the website where it is. And so you can kind of download it. And the checklist, which is right here, really helps with going through what you need. So you don't need to have everything on this checklist, but it certainly helps you keep organized. So that as you go into your systematic review, you know what you're having, what you have in the review and what you don't have in the review and what you might need in the review. So again, if you go to this, our research guide and you scroll down, it's right underneath the Prisma checklist. And you can go to that website to get the checklist. So let me put that in chat. Okay, do we have any questions so far? I'm gonna do this again. Ah.
Yeah, it's annoying that it does that.
It's annoying that it does that. Okay, so when you go to plan a systematic review, these are all questions that you should be asking yourself. So where will you search? What databases are you going to use? Are you using Google Scholar? If you're using Google Scholar, how are you narrowing that down? What time frame, again, are you going to be using? So you have to have a specific time frame that you're looking within. So what years are included, what years are excluded? What keywords are you using? Again, you need to keep track of all these things because if you searched one database with different keywords, you need to let the people, the paper know that you're using different keywords for different databases. And then what will you not search, if anything? So say you're researching bubblegum and you want to research all bubblegums except for spearmint bubblegum. So you would have to say specifically in your systematic review that we researched bubblegum, but we excluded spearmint because of so and so and so. So again, you want the people who are reading this to be able to go in and do the same searches that you did. Okay, so is this the article? Is this the one that you want? So first, when you're looking at an article, the first thing you have to do is identify your research question. Which is what you should have already when you're going into a systematic review. You should have your research question ready and narrowed down enough to where it's specific to what you need. Then you're going to identify those databases that you need. Do you need science databases like PubMed, Web of Science, Scopus? Do you need humanities databases like JSTOR? And then from there, you're going to be getting thousands of results. And so what you need to do is you need to filter those results. So here is an example of looking at the National Library of Medicine, and we're searching diabetes, obesity. This is our research question is about diabetes and obesity and diabetes. Over on the left-hand side, all databases will have a way for you to filter. So what you'll do is you'll go over here, you'll say, oh, I just want full text. Oh, I want specific article types. So do you want clinical trials? If you're discounting meta-analyses, why are you discounting meta-analyses? If you were looking, and then of course you have to look between a specific time. So you can see here that we're looking between 2011 to 2022. And these are all things that you're going to want to keep track of. Now, what can Rayyan help you with? Rayyan is a great place, especially for teams, that you and your team can create, maintain over time, and get suggested articles for inclusion and exclusion. It helps you to quickly screen articles. So it's kind of like a citation manager as to where you'll import your citations, and then it'll help you kind of screen those articles. It detects duplicates, which is really great. So if you have multiple articles of the same, multiples of the same article, you can get rid of that. It uses visual cues to kind of help in the screening. And it uses machine learning, so a bit of an AI to help with recommendations. So it has a star rating, kind of like Amazon. So 5 stars is this article will be really good for you. 1 star is probably this article is not something that you might want to include. And the greatest thing about Rayyan is that it has a lot of support for collaboration. So if you have more than 2 people, you can all go in and see what you're doing and see the different tags and everything like that. So it's really great for teams. So the steps to using Rayyan, and before we get into it, I will say that a couple of the screenshots, they've changed their interface. So the screenshots might look a little bit old, but Cynthia will be walking you through step by step on how to use the newer one. I'll just be going over the basics. So the first thing that you do is you need to import your references, which is really easy, especially if you use a citation manager. You can import all those references into it, and then the first thing you want to do is detect duplicates. Now I know EndNote has a way to detect duplicates, and Mendeley and Zotero do too, but this is just another way for you to go through and make sure that you're not including the same article. And then you're going to start screening. You're going to say whether you want to include or exclude, and those will be tagged, which is really great. So include is going to be green, exclude is going to be red. And then you use the filter menu to kind of do the work. So much like a database, it has a way that you can filter out all of the articles that you have. So you'll see here in a minute, you can filter by author, you can filter by journal, you can filter by keyword. And so that can really help you with finding what articles you want to keep and what articles you might want to exclude. Use reasoning, and this is really helpful because it has a drop down on what reasons you can include and what reasons you can exclude. And so use those because then that'll categorize them within Rayyan. And then be careful with the labels. You can go in and you can label different things. And then you also have tags that you can put on personally. And so those can be really helpful or really, it can hinder you. So be careful with what you're using. You want to be consistent. So you want to make sure that the whole team is using the same tags, the same labels for everything. So then that way you don't kind of get a jumbled mixture. And then, as I said, it's going to rate articles for you, but you have to make 50 decisions before it will actually rate. So it wants to know what your logic is when looking at the articles that you imported. So once you've made 50 ratings, so that's include, exclude, it will automatically go, well, you'll hit like rate, and then the AI will start working and looking through the articles and rate it based on your ratings. So the first thing first, if you haven't created a Rayyan login, please go ahead and do that. If you have created your Rayyan login, you can go ahead and log in, and then when Cynthia gets up here, you can go kind of through each step with her. If you haven't gone and done a Rayyan account, it will take, it could take up to 24 hours for you to get that.
They're moving lots faster now, so yeah. I think it'll be okay.
So go ahead, if you haven't, let me...
you can just Google Rayyan and sign in, and it will work.
Go ahead and I'll put this into the chat as well, if it's going to let me.
I can help you.
Okay. That's so weird. Computer's really acting up. Okay. So the home screen, like I said, this is going to look a little bit different, but you're going to have a couple tabs there. You're going to have your reviews, so the reviews that you've created. You're going to have collaboration reviews. So this is these are ones that you're using with other people and that you're a collaborator on. And then the other one to kind of look at is other reviews. And the other reviews are examples of different reviews that people that are completely public that you can go in and look and see how did these people tag things, how did these people evaluate these articles. So that can be really helpful to kind of, especially if you're just getting started. And then this is kind of what the working dashboard looks like. You can see already there's the red and the green. And so red is going to be exclude, green is going to be include. And then over on the left-hand side, just like with the databases, you have the filters. So you can see here, undecided, there are 77 articles undecided, 66 that are included, 13 that are excluded, and then of course they have the maybe tab, which can be helpful. And then you've got keywords for include and keywords for exclude. And these are ones that when you import your references, it will create for you, but then you can go in and you can edit. So you can add new keywords, you can delete keywords that it suggests. So this is completely personalizable to you and your research. And then you can see down here, it has the topics. And you can go in and look at those. And again, these are suggested topics from the articles that you imported. Up at the top, you'll see there is the detect duplicates, compute ratings, export, copy, new search, and then all reviews. And so the detect duplicates is going to be the button that you want to use right as you import everything. And then Cynthia will show you, it kind of shows you the different duplicates that it finds, and you can say whether or not, yes, this is a duplicate, no, this isn't a duplicate. The compute ratings is going to be once you have your 50 ratings, you're going to go ahead and click that, and you can see right here they've got stars over on the side. So these two are 2.5 stars. Again, it's like Amazon, you've got 5 stars. So anything between 5 and 1 is going to be up to you to kind of figure out, like, is this actually something that I want to include or not? Now, to be able to get your resources and references into Rayyan, you're going to go to the upload references, and it tells you right here with the migration guides how to use each citation manager. So we've got EndNote, Mendeley, Zotero, Web of Science, as well as ScienceDirect and PubMed. So there are a lot of different ways that you can kind of import your references into it. And so what you'll do is you'll just hit select files, select the download, and then it'll import those references for you. And this is what it looks like when the references are first loaded. So you can see over here, we've got 4,200 undecided. And right here, it tells you that there are 600 new articles or 650 new articles, and there's already no keywords for include, no keywords for exclude, but you do have topics. So you're going to go in and you're going to want to add keywords for include, keywords for exclude, and that'll really help you to kind of narrow down what papers you might want to use. Again, you need 50 decisions for computer rankings. So you'll see up on unresolved. Oh, these are possible duplicates. If you go to the inclusion decisions right here, we've got 9,900 inclusion decisions that have not been made yet. So you want to make sure that you're getting those 50 decisions in before you start to do compute ratings, because the computer ratings won't work unless you have those 50 decisions. Okay, so that's a general look at Rayyan. Does anybody have any questions here in the room or online about anything that I went over before we kind of get into the nitty-gritty of Rayyan? And if you're online, you can unmute yourself if you have a question as well. Okay, well, it doesn't look like it, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hand it over to Cynthia. Out of all of these. Okay.
Your computer went to sleep. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's okay.
And the other one is open and it has the Zoom there too.
Oh, great. Okay. Yes.
Use them. Okay, people, let's see what we're going to learn now. Let me get myself set up. If you haven't got into Rayyan, I'm going to open my account. I'm just going to Google that and sign in here. So the interesting thing at the moment is that it is having two interfaces. So I'm not sure which interface you're going to land on. And we'll just figure that out together. And let me get my password in. Okay, so here's the old interface. But right here at the top says click to the new interface. Although I'm wondering if you're new, you might have landed on something that looks like this. I think we all need to be on the same kind of page. So I think we should be teaching this new interface because I think it will be the standard. So if you haven't got there, let us know and I'll help you. I'm going to show you that step one more time. I'm assuming people are in the Rayyan platform. And I think I'm Rayyan because it came out of Qatar, and I hope I'm saying that right. But sometimes I go a little Texas. So if you think it is something else, please don't lean on my pronunciation. So here is where I can switch back to the old one. So I'm going to go back to the legacy. So if you're sitting in the Legacy, this is the old one. You need to click here and you'll be in here. And I hope everybody's on the blue screen, and I'm going to move forward with being on the blue screen. And if you're stuck anywhere, please shout out. Okay, so as we've signed in here, and I bet most of y'all have a new account, I have just a slightly different setup than y'all. So let me kind of show you my way around a bit, and then we'll get a review in there for you. And so this is the main screen, if you will. We're on the home, if you will. Here are the active ones that I have. You can see I have some archived ones also here. I could click that and show the whole list if we wanted to. I'm not going to do that, so you can just keep kind of looking around. These are the 4 that I have. I have a test one, a user experience one, and a human development one. You can see the dates they were created. You can see that I'm the owner. You can see the number of articles that came in. I can see that I can invite people, but if I click on this test one, it will give me some information about that. So now I've changed screens and I've highlighted this single one, and here we have some tabs kind of at the top. So the overview, we can see that Jenny also can be in here helping me work on this one. And then here's the amount of references I imported. Here are the duplicates I can look at. Here are the ones that I can resolve. And here are the ones that are resolved. Blind is off. Let's talk about that. So if Jenny is in, if you have somebody else working with you, you can choose to see their actions or not by choosing blind off. Everybody sees everybody's actions. Blind on. Now I can't see what Jenny's doing and Jenny can't see what I'm doing. And that might be really useful to you if you're doing a systematic review for a publication. They may require this step. And then you can kind of see how everybody looks at articles themselves if you have the blind on. And then at the end, you can turn that off and see what is happening, who added stuff and who excluded stuff, and maybe that was different, what was selected and what was not selected. And so you can even in here look and see, I've screened 4 articles in this population. I can continue screening. I have 1, this is a really small set here, 1 exclude, 1 maybe, and 1 and 2 include. And you can see my progress is going over here. And actually, Jenny's done just about as much as I've done. So we were just using this as a kind of a test. Let's look at something that has had a little bit more interaction to it. The user experience, I think, is the one, yes. So this, still, I'm working by myself. It's asking me to invite people. And this is how many have been imported. Here's my duplicates. Here's how many have been resolved, that are unresolved, and here's how many have been resolved. But I've hit that threshold of the 53. Remember, Jenny was talking about you have to make kind of 50 decisions before AI can help you. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that, but that's what I'm going to use on that test. As we're looking at these, I can look at the review data. So I'm in the overview at this moment. I can look at the review data and I can start to see the articles. I can then use the AI assistant, and then I can also be screening. And really what you're going to be doing a lot of is the screening. And so this is what that screen was like when Jenny had it up and we had the highlights on. So it is keying into any word that is really in my search. So library, I wanted to be looking at user experience within libraries. So those are positive things I've included. And then maybe a survey, I said, I don't want to look at surveys. I want to look at other actionable things. The other thing that I think is really useful on here, now Rayyan has been out for a little bit, and they started as an open source, right? As things kind of take off, then maybe they put things behind the paywall. So you can see in a lot of places you're going to see an upgrade. So this is still a free resource, but you may get to things that it will say, oh, you want to upgrade. I don't want to necessarily do that unless you feel like you have to do that for your research. But where I was kind of going at is that Pico is really mostly, I think, behind the paywall. You always have to upgrade if you're going to use the Pico. And we can see that the blind is on here and the computer ratings. That's where I could run that test, but I'm not going to do that quite yet. But over here, this lists the little filter, and they put the filters on the far side of the screen now. So if I really wanted to use my filters here as I was looking through things to select, I can kind of go through here. And remember, Pico is going to be an upgrade, so kind of skip on those. And I don't necessarily think that full text is ever a filter for me, because it's just a matter of getting that article. So I'm not going to use that. But a lot of times, maybe journals might be a good filter, and I can just enable that filter without an upgrade charge here. I can click on it, and it will show me the journals that have been used here. Or let's see if there's main language. So let's enable that. That is something that I use often. I mean, I don't speak anything but English, a little bit of Spanglish. But so if there was things in here, like there seems to be a big population of user experience in Russian. So if I was looking for those decision-making things, I could click on the Russian, and now it's only pulled up articles that are in Russian, and I can exclude those. So I can just immediately exclude. It'll automatically go to the next one. I can exclude. If I want to exclude with a reason, I can pop up this little thing. Now, these exclusions with reasons are pre-built. So I can say this is a foreign language, that's why I'm excluding it. Hit apply, and it automatically says that I excluded it because it's a foreign language. You can see the reasons there. Maybe it's the wrong drug if you're testing, a real drug. Maybe it's the wrong publication type. Maybe I only want to look at true studies, and I somehow got a review, even though I tried to filter that out of the database. I can say this is a review. I don't want to do a review. Maybe it's the wrong design. Maybe I've got it so narrowed down into my research that I really want them to be looking at this type of methodology. And if they're not doing that type of methodology, then I'm not going to use it either. Now, if there is something, I'm just going to go to the next one here. If there's something that I want to include that is not here and probably pretty unique to my own study, right? Then I can come over here under the label and say, something, what would be a good thing? Maybe, I don't know. I'll just say something like this is happening outside of Texas. Maybe I'm only looking at Texas for some reason. I can just put the word Texas here or inside or whatever I want to. And now I've created that just by typing in that label. I don't think that part is very intuitive to me, at least. I wouldn't think to type there. I would think that I would need to be typing someplace else. But now if I wanted to apply that to this article, I'd actually have to click the check mark there and click apply. And then now that's why I'm excluding this. And there's the label. It's in blue. So personal labels that I've created are going to be in blue. Reasons that are pretty common for excluding and built into the system are red. Does that help everybody? And so I would kind of look through these filters and see what are things that maybe I'm only looking at some part of the world, and I wanted to look at how they're doing user experience only in Asia. Maybe that's something I want to look at. I could enable this filter and exclude everything else. So I think that's how that kind of helps me. But please note, now you see it's showing only the 17 articles I have left out of the 27. So if I want that to be all of them again, I have to uncheck mark that. To me, that's not very intuitive either. So just remember, if you have something narrowed down over here, it will show up here at the top. Let's just do another thing. I'll do trial, and you can see that it's showing up here. So I can always see that if I need to, and can clear it here. But that was a little confusing to me when I first started using Rayyan. Okay, so let's go ahead and include some of these, because I think we've seen the exclude a little bit better. But I want to maybe include something. I'm going to go ahead and say include here. include. I can make a note here maybe. I'm not sure about this. If I'm working with a non-blind review, so me and Jenny are working together and we don't have the blind turned on, maybe Jenny takes a look at the orange ones and says, oh yeah, Cynthia, I think you're right. Let's take this one out for whatever reason. Or no, I really think we should include this because of X, Y, Z. The other thing is you can add a little note here. Let's say for whatever reason I want to add, this really needs to be addressed in an article. Or whatever it is that you want to put that note there. Then I can include that and post that. And then you can see that there's a little note there. And if I come to read it, I can read it. I should be able to read that. Let's see. Oh, wait, there it is. Summary. Cynthia. So it identified who made the note and then what I said in this thing. And I'll go ahead and include that one since we've made a little note. So that's kind of what we're doing when we're pulling things in. Shall we pull one in so y'all can be looking at something too? Are we ready? All right, so I'm just going to get to the main library website. I just do that by typing in library.ttu.edu. I thought we might use PubMed. I figure most subjects will use PubMed at some point. Oh, you guys, I'm going to sneeze, sorry. Well, I sometimes sneeze multiple times. Allergies, here we are. It's 80 degrees outside. Okay. So to get to PubMed the quickest way, remember we're going to use the PubMed here from the library because then we can get access to all our materials. If we just use the one that's on the open web, you won't have access to those materials necessarily unless they're open access. So I'm going to get into databases A to Z. And then I'm going to type in PubMed up here. And that's PUBMED. And this is the one I was looking for. I'm going to click on the online access there. And then I'm going to do a search of whatever I wanted to do a search about for my research. Today I'm going to try to use global warming. Y'all think we're global warming with 80 degrees today? I'm not sure. Maybe. So, okay. Let's see what we've got going on here. I was playing in here earlier, so it may have reset my things. Let me see if I can clear that. Reset. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
When here, clear this. Okay.
Oh, oops, wrong side. Sorry.
It's okay.
You're saying that it's hard to see the screen.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn the lights down.
I don't like it. Is
that better?
It's fine. Yeah.
No. Put it a little higher, please. Thank you. Not too high, but if it is some in the middle, can you get in the middle? There, that's better.
Yeah.
Whoop, it's going to turn it off. Okay. Surely it will let us do in the middle. It won't let us do in the middle. I'm going to try a little bit. Did I do right? Did that go?
How's that?
That's better.
Okay, that's better.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay, so here we are. We're doing global warming, and we had 20,000 results. Now, I think you could really populate this into Rayyan, but for time's sake, I'm going to try to narrow it down because the bigger the set is, the longer it takes. So I'm going to narrow this down until we get to just a couple hundred, so you can still see how it moves around, but we're not going to sit here wasting time. So I thought we might move up to 24. Let's see what we get. And then let's see, what about a meta-analysis? Okay, that's 183. Let's try that one. So that's last 20 years looking at only meta-analysis type of articles. And then I'm going to click save. And then I'm going to say all the results, not just on this page, but all the results. But you can see you can do just this page or what you select with the selection or all the results. And then I'm going to actually put it into PubMed. And I'm going to say create file. And because I'm in Chrome, it's going to throw it up here. And I can come back to Rayyan. I'm going to need to go back to my home page here because I want to create a new review. So I just clicked on the 3 lines and that slid my review over so that I can click on this, create a new review. And then I'm going to title this. I'm going to title mine global warming so that I know what's in here. And then I'm going to choose a type. Depending on what you're doing, you may be doing a systematic review or literature review. Any of these would be fine. I think I'm just going to label it as systematic review. Or you can also say not applicable if you don't want to pick. And you can do it in whatever kind of broad category of subject they have listed. I'm going to list mine as environmental because we're doing global warming. Then I could type something. This is data that I collected from PubMed maybe on January, we're already in February, Lord have mercy, February 20th.
We're almost out of February.
I know, don't remind me that. From 2024. And then I can say, you know, with search terms of global warming, or whatever you want to say here. Whatever's going to help you. And then I'm going to click create the review. And I'm going to select my files. And this is my global warming is downloaded into my downloads. I'm going to select it, then I'm going to say open, and it's going to be pulling that in. And it's so much faster than it used to be. So I'm going to say continue. And then it's going to say if I wanted to go ahead and invite people to work on this with me, if I knew their emails already, I could put those in here. And I just have to have a comma to separate those out. So I'm just going to use Jenny as an example. And I would just put a comma here. And then it even found the email. So then I can find somebody else if I wanted to. And then there's different roles. So you can say a collaborator, that would be, you know, somebody that is your peer working on something with you. Feel free to do that. A reviewer would be somebody that is just going to be able to review things, not do other things. And some of the things that they cannot do, and we can look that up in the help screen. And Rayyan, if you were really interested in it, they cannot use the duplicate feature. It won't allow them to look at that. They're really there to just be looking at the article and saying include or exclude is what they're really there for. So they won't be able to use the duplicate feature. They won't be able to download the data from the review, and they won't be able to add data to the review. So that is and then of course a viewer, like maybe you're training somebody on something and you just want them to be able to see that and have a few example things in there. So they're just looking, they can't do anything there. So I'm not going to actually invite anybody. I'm just going to go ahead and skip. And then it's going to create that review for me. And then it's going to take it a second to pull that data in. As doing it, it just kind of finished it. I can start screening, or I really think that detect duplicates is your first step. So I'm going to always detect duplicates. I'm going to say yes. And it will see if there's any in 183. There may not be very many in 183. So we may go back and look at something else. We found 2, okay. And you see it took it just a little bit of time because there's only 183 in this. So let's go ahead and start resolving this so you can see that screen as well. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And so it brings up the 2 things side by side that it's concerned about. And it's gonna ask you, are these the same? Do you think these are the same? And it's highlighting what they think it is that had matched, but I don't see why it thought so, because there's usually like a similarity is like, you know, a higher percentage. I mean, this is 0, I'm not sure. And these titles aren't even the same. And a lot of times you'll have the same titles here. Sometimes it will be the matter of a preprint, you know, like maybe you've submitted an article and it has been put online, but it hasn't really been published yet by the journal. And then it comes out with a date and a volume and an issue. And so sometimes you'll have those two come up together. But I would say instead of keeping one or the other on these two, I would keep the both. So this may not be the best example for your duplicates, but you could definitely do that. And then you can also use this auto resolver. Now that's a newer feature. I haven't really played around with it much, but if you had like, I don't know, 50 duplicates, it might be able to say anything that is totally exactly alike. They would just keep the one that is more filled out, because that is also something a lot of times you see in the duplicates, is that one has, you know, the complete citation information, and maybe one does not have like the URL or the abstract or some of the year. Sometimes things like that are missing. So I'm going to go ahead and click both on here. Before I do that though, I would keep the left if I wanted to keep the left with this button. I'd keep the right if I wanted to keep this one. And then I would keep both by using this button at the top. I'm going to say, okay, it said green to both. And since we don't have any more, it says we're done. So I can go ahead and click done. See, checked resolved articles. Thanks for working, all clear. And so then it's been moved, and you can see that we have the 2 resolved here. Now I can go ahead and start screening. I'm going to click start screening here. So now we're into the data set that we were really pulling in together, and we can say what are things that we want to include and what we don't want to include. So let's see here, if I kind of look around for a second. I'm kind of looking down here to see if there's something here. So maybe this one, I definitely don't want to include this. I'm really looking at global warming, kind of related to weather, if you will, not impacts on reproduction maybe. And so I'm going to go ahead and say, click on this one, and I'm going to say exclude. But then I can keep looking around and seeing what is something I want. Maybe this is okay for me. It's climate change with, you know, plant herbivores, which are cows. We all know that CO2 situation has been a long indicator of global warming. So now I want to include this one, so I can go ahead and say okay here. And then I would just keep doing that along the way. If I wanted to look at my filters, remember they're up here. And I can look and see what it is that I want to do. Now also, look, we just included animals, and it's actually in the keywords for exclude, and I can just always move that and include them up here. So I can just add one here, add a keyword and use animal here and say add. And then I can take that out down here if it didn't automatically do it for me, which it did. So the old system wouldn't, you would have to do that, but now they're making it a little bit more sophisticated. So now that I moved the animal to the top to include, then it would automatically remove it from down here. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about all that we just saw there? No? Okay, let's kind of look at that AI feature, right? We're kind of interested in the computer ratings. So I'm going to go back to one of mine. You can definitely try it here, but you have to make 50 decisions. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and do 50 decisions with y'all. I'm going to use that one that is preloaded. I think it was my user experience one that has, yeah. So I've actually screened 61 now because we were doing some work in here as well. And so at the top, I'm sorry, here, continuing screening. You can also use these tabs. I just have been using the middle tab, so you can move around here if you want to. Now I'm going to go ahead and get these to do the computer ratings. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to take a minute, so don't panic. And it's going to ask me because it may take a little bit. So I guess when it kind of grew a little fast, so a lot of people were excited about this tool because it was open, and so people started using it a lot. So I think it kind of bogged it down a little bit. But now I think they have enough computer power behind it that it's running a little bit faster. The setup is really easy to get done, and you can load in things a lot easier. I mean, if you're moving 10,000, it's going to take a second, but you could see that we got that done, and this is pretty good about here. And so let's see, where did they put that on here? It used to be on the side here. Let me see if it is now in the filters. Search method. That was strange. I think this is a newer one of those, so I hadn't seen this. That is one thing we can talk about too. They're still updating things left and right. And I can show you where that information is. So let's see if they're telling us. Usually there was a little rating scale that we saw. So I'm gonna look at one others to see if I'm just missing it. I don't see that I'm missing it.
You might have to go to, because you're currently on screening.
Yes.
Would you have to change that?
I don't know. Let's see. Since it was here, I think this AI assistant is different. Let's see if it's here. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm going to look under here. Let's see what we're getting now. It's a new feature. I think it is in here. I just got to figure out where it is. Give me a second. And let's see what's here. Copy export active filters. Oh, let's see if it's in the different kind of layout. Oh, yes. So it may be saying that.
Oh.
Yeah. This is the ratings. Did we see that in the other filter format? Let me see. I did see that orange. But yes, there would be ranking here. But if you click on that, okay, let me close that up so you can see that real quick. If you click on that, it says no recommendation. So before they were on a 5-point scale, and then they would give you like 4 stars, and you'd still have to do that. Let's see if, well, we don't even have some good rankings. I guess probably because I haven't made good decisions maybe in here anyway. Because it is filtered down to these, and there's only so many here. Maybe I guess even if I scroll all the way to the bottom, surely that's not 900. Oh, it still lets me scroll more. I see. Okay. So that star ranking was maybe a little bit better than this because you could at least see if you had a 3. I kind of was leaning with a 3 to a 5. But I guess this recommendation is going to be like, yes, include this, or no, and they're saying not to include it. So, because I don't see anything else here. I'll scroll it down just a little bit more because we have quite a few. Let me just see if I can find another result. And we have 61 results happening here. But I do think that my inclusion and exclusion was a little haphazard, so it may have confused the tool itself. Maybe I should do a new setup where it will. What if I'm going to sort this and see if that, yes, sort by rating. That was a good, smart thing to do. And nope, that did not do anything good. And can we filter by rating over here? I thought that might be good. Because it's now saying nothing is. Okay, what about that? If we are sorting, and most likely to include, it's no recommendation. So it's not like it's saying not to recommend it, but I guess we could include these. and we can run it again, but I would have to run through here real quick. One thing I do think is, okay, that is a little bit smoother. I can move pretty fast. Whereas I used to have to click on the next thing. Now it's automatically moving for me. And let's see if we can see that rating. And what about if we say exclude? Is there anything better here? I will exclude a couple of these and see if we can get that. That gets us a little bit more info. I think the positives help it better than the negatives. And so let's see if that would let us rerun that. And then I'll also show you where they're kind of showing you the newest thing. Oh, we must wait 5 minutes before the new job. So sometimes it does kind of stick in there. So, okay. Okay, so while we're waiting on that a little bit, let's go ahead and I'm going to click back here so it'll move that over and bring my menu back up. You can see what's new here. You can see they're updating it just even from February 12th. And they kind of highlight what they're doing, kind of like in a blog post, if you will, if you keep scrolling back. So if you want to kind of look through that, feel free to do so. And that's under the What's New in Rayyan. And so that is good. And you can always provide feedback. They're looking for people to give them more information on what they want to include and what they want to exclude. So, and then here's where the help is. So if you're into a situation where you're not sure what is happening, you can always click here and it will let you search. Like we kind of talked about the reviewers role. Let's see if that will come up with something. Yeah, you could say assigning and managing reviewers, reviewer permissions. Here's what they can do. Here's what they can't do. So you can kind of look around. And this feature has really improved a lot in the last 6 months, I'll say, this help center. So that's pretty good. Okay, some other things about the platform. Your account is up here. You can say what you are. You can get your phone and get the app if you want. I have the Rayyan on my app, on my phone, the app on my phone. I have an Android, and I think it works pretty well, and it's pretty fast in syncing up. Like it just pulled in that new one I created just now, and it's going to allow me to look at that here. I mean, some people are really good about some of this stuff. I'm just not that good, but I know somebody that stands in like any line, like the grocery store line, and reads one or two of these and says include, exclude. I don't know if I would be that smooth, but if you are, and you have, you know, a lot of times we're sitting in front of doctor's appointments, 15 minutes, you could do that real quick on your phone, whatever. So I do think that it's a nice reaction time. If you're online and in the app, you could see both actions happening. So I think that that's pretty good. And then your settings here, I like the light. I know other people like dark, so there's a darker option. And if you happen to be colorblind, because you notice that quite a few of these things are color-coded, right? And if you are colorblind, maybe you're not seeing the green and the red, so you could click on that. You can also make the font bigger, and then you can, well, I think there's a feature coming. Right now it is vertical, but I think it'll be horizontal option in just a little bit. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and work some more on this and see if we can't get a few more decided. And then we should be able to rerun that. We can also pull things in if there's a database that anybody uses on a regular basis. We want to set up a review from them, from that database. Some of them are slightly different, like PubMed is kind of unique, so we might look at Web of Science and see if that, or if you have a platform that you use often. I know I use EBSCO a lot, and they have a weird situation where we'll look at that, and you have to download the zip drive, then you have to get the file, then you have to upload it. So that's not Ryan's fault. That's just how EBSCO has set that up, instead of automatically downloading it straight from the database. So we'll look at that as well. I'm kind of chit-chatting a little bit to see if we can run that. Well, let's do some of that, and then we'll come back and run the computer here so that we can see that. Before we do all that, does anybody have any questions, concerns, lost in the platform online? How are y'all doing? Y'all okay? Okay, I'm going to keep moving then. So does anybody have a preference for a database, or shall we just look at the two that I kind of mentioned?
Site info.
Site info. Okay, so that is an EBSCO database, or at least here at Tech it is. It can be in a lot of platforms, but we own it in EBSCO. So let's use that one. That's a good one. And it's a good example for a EBSCO example. So I'm just going to get into databases A to Z, and then I'm going to type in psych info here. Psych info. I'm going to get into it, online access. And then I'm just going to run something here. Let's say motor skills. Well, this is kind of motor skills, and then I'm going to click on advanced search and do scholarly peer reviewed, run that. And I'm going to try to make it a little bit smaller like we did before. I'm going to move it over here. Limit my thing because I really want that to be. What about gross? I'm not sure that that's going to be in psych info. Okay, and what about children? And let's see if I just bring it up to like 2019. That would be like the last 5 years. Maybe that'll be pretty small. So that's about, it's still a little large. But here, what you have to do to get this is under the share. You can see email to a link to download that. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. But then you have to be able to open your email address. And I'm going to choose this XML format because that's what I know will go into Ryan. It will also take anything that's in text. I was trying to think if I knew. I don't know if it takes BibTeX or not. I haven't really played with that much. I know it usually takes things from EndNote. A lot of times you'll see it in EndNote. It might do the IRS format too. I think that's right. But I'm just going to use the XML and see what happens here. And so then I'm going to email it to myself. I'm just going to email it to my TTU email. And so then this says you have to retrieve that in so many hours, 168 hours. So it's not a short amount of time, but you can't do that and then 2 weeks later come and look at it. So just be aware of that. Let me get my email open and see if I find that come in. Let's see here. And I'll pull that up. What did it come over? There we go.
It does take RIS and BibTeX.
Okay, thanks. I knew RS, but I wasn't sure about the bib. So then you're going to download that. Oh, I see. There's a pop-up block here on this browser. I was like, I could not get it to, I'm going to say allow Redux. Allow. Then let's see if we can get it to download now. Oh, now it's hit. Have y'all seen this screen?
Oh, yes.
Sorry, you cannot really download that because we don't trust you at Tech. So now we have to wait on that for a second to download. I don't have this in my office, but I guess because this platform is multiple people looking at it, that's why. So if we could get to that link, then we could pull it into that, but we may just need to wait a minute and see if we can get that to open. While we're doing that, let's go ahead and run one more. Anybody else using like Web of Science or another database platform that maybe somebody is using? Yes?
I use Web of Science. I have a question. Like,
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to search in Scienceinfo as well as Eric. So after inserting the links, can I merge them and can I figure it out from which database I pulled them? Does it make sense?
Yes, that is a great question. So he wants to download some data from Scienceinfo and from Eric. And so I don't think Rayyan is going to tell you that, because what we would want to know is here, if that tells you what place it's coming from. And I don't think it actually pulls that data in. I think it may have access to that, but it just may not display it for you to be able to tell. But what you could do is you could pull that in and pull in both data sets. And we could do that here in our test one in the global warming, we could do that. And then it will run your duplicates. So if there's anything in Eric and in Scienceinfo, it would let you choose. But you wouldn't necessarily know which one you're choosing. And I don't think that would be a big issue as long as you describe that in your methodology. Like, I ran this search from this time to this time, whatever that date is, both in Eric and Scienceinfo, and these are the number of the sets of data results that I got. So I think you'd be okay there. That's a good thing, though. Let's add another one to this global warming. If I can get that motor skills one to work in Scienceinfo, we may just add it to the global warming one so we can see how to do that. I don't know if it's going to let me ever click on that. Oh, I think it might be letting me. It did. Okay. So let me see if I can open this for us. I don't know if y'all are having the same situation here. It let me pull that in. Here's this. And it's in the downloads. And so it's zipped. I think I'm going to unzip that first. I'm going to extract all. Say okay that it can put it in that place. And then it is here. And then I'm going to pull that over to the global warming. You know, I don't know if I'll add that to the global warming or just a new one, because if we put those two mixed, then it won't really know how to sort that. But I want you to see us put two sets in the same data set. So we'll do a new one real quick here. And I'm just going to label this one like motor skills. And this is February of 2024. Also, because I teach it, I have a lot of test ones in here. And so they're not always labeled as best that they could be. Oh, this is not environmental now. This is other. That's fine. And get that. Now I'm going to select the files. I'm going to get not that. This. Is that the one that was XML? Yes. Oh, they don't want me to click there. It wanted me to click over here. It's going to take a second for that to upload. Remember, that was like 500-ish. I think we're okay. We can continue now. I'm not going to do anything. It's going to pull that information in. And it takes it just a second to populate down here. While we're doing that, though, why don't we go ahead and do our Web of Science with global warming and pull that in. And then maybe we'll do an Eric too and put it in this one. Okay. So, but we'll have a lot of blocks with that information. Okay, to get to Web of Science, I'm going back to my main library site. And I'm going to do Web of Science, and it's just in the long list. I don't have to do databases A to Z on this one. I can still search for Web of Science if I had already clicked on that. But I'm going to pick up this. And we'll do something with global warming here so that we can add it to our first one. Oh, but we're gonna manage our cookies first. Okay, so we're gonna do global warming. And I'm just gonna do a search and see what I get. It may be way too many. Oh, it is way too many. Let's see if I can, oh, let's just do, I'm not sure what articles these are gonna be, but that's the smallest so far. And then I've narrowed down to just 2024, so I'm trying to get a set that is small enough to move over pretty fast. And let's see if we can find some kind of a review article. No, let's do an article. That's what we want. And click refine again. So we're still down to 700. Let me see if I add something else. Global warming and I'll just do climate. Add that and see if that will search, get us down a little bit. That is added. I shouldn't have done that. Let me take that out. Yeah, should include. That broadened it out, so sorry about that. Let's just go with our 700 and see what we got going on here. Okay, so now we're going to click this little box at the top. If I wanted to, I could click which ones I want, or I could click this one, and that's kind of marking all of them like we did in PubMed. And then I'm going to click export. And in here, I can do quite a bit of things. So we know that RIS works, BibTeX works, plain text file works. Let's see if we can see. I don't see an XML here. I'm just going to go ahead and take the plain text. But the nice thing about the RIS, if you're using a platform that needs that for like EndNote, you can just remember RIS as your friend all the way through and use it in EndNote and use it in Rayyan software as well. Okay, I'm going to grab the plain text. I'm going to get that records. And since it's allowing me to pick what I want, I'm just going to do like 200. So that shortens it up for us. And it can tell me what I'm going to do. Do I want the author, title, source? I think I want the abstract too. I'm not going to try and do the full record here, I don't think, because I'm going to be quick is what I'm trying to be. But if you wanted to do the full record, you could and see what you get. Okay, I'm going to export that. Just because Web of Science lets you take that doesn't mean that's what Rayyan will pull into, that full record. Okay, it threw it up into my browser. It's already downloaded. So I'm going to go back to my Rayyan tab. And I'm going to add it into my global warming tab. And I'm going to add more import data. And then I'm going to select the files. And then I'm going to find it here because I didn't look at and see what it said up there. Sorry, hold on, let me look. It called it, okay. Let me try that again now that I know what it's called. Oop, I double clicked it. Let me do that. And it should be probably in my downloads. Yep, here it is. I'm going to say open and continue. And it's pulling that in. And because it was only 200, it finished quite fast. So now we have 183, which is what we should have, because we all know we had 183, and now with 200, it'd be 383. Okay, so let's go ahead and get something out of Eric for you. What do you think about that? And put it in here. Do you think that you want to see that? No. Okay. I mean, we don't have to, but I just thought if you wanted to see it, you're more than welcome. Okay.
We have already seen that.
Well, we saw site info come in.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen. Let's see if we can see what's happening here. It looks like they're not coming in. Let's see, starting with that. Got it. It's just giving me some new information, I think. Waiting for articles to import. We already had articles in there. That's interesting. Let's see if we can figure out why that didn't come through. I created that. Maybe did I not add them? Let's see here. Add references. Maybe I didn't pull those in. Let me see real quick. I thought I did. They were saved from, yes, from the this one. It was the XML. That's where I thought we pulled those in already. Maybe I need to refresh and come back to this one. Oh, you guys. Maybe it's not going to take that XML. That's interesting. Let's try that again. What happened there? It's a little large. I wonder if it was. It doesn't think it has anything. Let's see if I can download that in a different format way. I'm going to do the RIS and see if that ends up being better. Well, we'll know for sure now. And then I have to do that crazy wait for it email. I'll click on it and then it'll tell me, wait a second. Here, I am trying to click on it. Let's see if it's going to let me go ahead and get it. Oh, it came straight away. Okay. Let me open it and we'll put it over here. Okay. And it's our RIS. So I'm going to put it back in here and we're going to add references. We're going to select that file. So now we've moved the same piece. I'm going to undo this. Hold on, sorry. Let me get that folder up so y'all can see it. It's in here, but let me just unzip it. I think it does better if it's extracted. Say okay. And then we add the references and see if we can get the file. That's not the file I want. I want the other one. Here. This is the RIS one. Go. Continue. Upload it really fast. See if it's really going to upload that fast. Thinking about it now. Okay. So that is out of APA. I don't know why the XML didn't come through, but it clearly read the RIS one. And we can definitely add an Eric here if we want to, or we can go and see if that, now that I've rated a little bit, we can see the the user experience one, if we made enough decisions to make a difference in that rating system. I don't know if it will or not. We might look at the Get Help. I'm going to look and see what they say the rating is. See, it was rating it on a 5-star. That's in 21 here. Let's just exporting that. I was hoping they might have a screenshot of that. Just trying to see if there's. Let's see what that is. That's interesting. That's the old screen. So see, that's where the rating came through, and it was a 5-1. I might just go ahead and run that. Now that we've chit-chatted a minute, it's allowed me to, it had told us we had to wait 5 minutes. So let's go back in there and see if that helps now. I don't know if this will end up helping or not. What does that note say? Oh, it's calculating it now. Let's see what that makes a difference for us or not. If not, I probably in the future will just do one that is very clearly rated, and that way y'all can just see it happen. the after effects, but not the in the moment effects. It's still kind of thinking. Let's give it a second to think. Oh, the predictions have been updated, but we still don't have any great predictions here. And let's see if we do by rating, and most likely to include is still just no recommendation and exclude. Yeah, so I think that really is because if we go back to the user experience homepage here, we only have like 9% of it. So while it says it needs 50 decisions before it can even think about anything, it probably needs a bigger percentage of 9% active work before. But I don't know what that percentage would be. So, okay, that's about what I was going to cover. Does anybody have any questions or wants to see something run online or here in class that we haven't talked about? Is there anything that you were kind of confused about that we wanted to cover again? Okay, I'm not seeing a lot of questions, so if we're... Oh no, Angela, that's horrible. Her laptop froze.
Oh no.
So don't worry, we'll have the recording so you can follow along after that. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Jenny or I. I'm going to just pull that workshop page back up so you can see both myself and Jenny are sitting here, so you can email or schedule an appointment with either one of us and ask any questions that you need. And the recording will be here. At the bottom, you can see our last recording was from January of last year. So feel free to review that today if you want, or you can wait. I'm going to try to get this one out sometime this week, probably on Monday. It most likely will be emailed to you on Monday. But if you've signed up and registered for the event, you'll get an email with that information. Okay. Well, that's all I had. I'm going to go ahead and close up shop unless somebody has a question. Okay. I'm going to stop recording.